Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Off the Ball. I am your host, Victoria Larson. This episode features Winona State point guard Connor Nagle. Before she was known for her lights-out shooting and patented four-point plays, Nagle grew up in the small town of Preston, Minnesota. I sat down with Connor's family to discuss the path to Connor's on-court success as well as her success off the ball. Take a look.
Connor was born just her childhood has been just a really pleasant experience. She's just one of those little girls that loved hunting, fishing, basketball, sports, playing hockey, and she just blossomed into this very athletic, just a super soft-hearted, very genuinely nice lady.
She's always been a good basketball player. She played volleyball for 1 year. We were kind of upset because she didn't want to play again, but she evolved into a great basketball player, so that was her sport. So
her sport started like this. In our bedroom, we have an A-frame ceiling, so we had a little Tykes basketball hoop in there. So since she's been in about 3rd grade, she had a soft basketball, and she would spend hours in my bedroom shooting at the basketball hoop.
Would shoot in her bedroom. They had a basketball hoop in their room up in the corner, and her mom and dad would listen to her. Oh, Connor's shooting baskets laying down in bed. You know, anything she could do to get better, she would do it.
We'd be downstairs and we had this thump, 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 thump. And then she'd have a couple friends over, and then they'd have a little basketball game in my, in the bedroom. The rocking chair would be pushed off to the side, and the little dresser would be pushed over, and they'd be upstairs playing in this little Tykes. Then it got to a court here. We needed a hoop on the cement. Then we had to get keys to the gym.
And one evening we were gone, and I came back, and she had a bunch of friends over. She was playing basketball up in the bedroom with the little Tykes, and it was a regular ball game, and they busted all the chandeliers off on the 2nd floor from all the vibration. They were all laid on the floor, broke. So, yeah, it was quite.
He was supposed to be watching her, and he left her and her friends alone.
Yeah.
To run down to the bowling alley quick.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, it was. We knew that she was going to be quite the player. So.
You know, I've known her ever since she was 3 years old, probably, and watching her grow up, she has got the biggest heart. She's
just a very caring, soft-hearted person. I mean, she's the type of person that instead of being the first of the line, she'd always ask, would you like to be at the first of the line? If there was a kid that didn't have a notebook, she'd come home and say, Mom, he doesn't have a notebook. Can we get him a notebook? And I would say, oh, yes, sweetie. So we'd buy kids notebooks or crayons, even from just an early age. One time she asked me, a kid in her class wanted a starter coat like she had, and she came home and asked me if we could go buy him a starter coat. And I said, no, sweetie, we wouldn't buy him a coat, but we could get him something else. So that, she's just really just that very unselfish person. And I think it shows in her basketball too. I mean, a lot of times I would say, oh my gosh, Connor, you were on fire. You need to shoot the ball when she was in high school. And she would be telling me how basketball is comprised of a team. There's 5 people. And, it's not all about me just shooting.
She's always strived to get everybody into the game. She could hit 4 threes in a row, and the next time come down, they'd attack her. Instead of pulling up for another shot, she would, let's make sure so-and-so is wide open. Or, here, and she was, unselfish to a point where sometimes, she probably could have been a little more selfish, but that's just the type of girl she is.
All the credit goes to Timmy O. Tim took her, he mentored her, and just worked with her day after day, week after week, year after year. And, I mean, he just treated her like, his own daughter.
I'd always talk to her about trying to work on the things that she wasn't strong at. All right, I know you shoot with your left hand, but you're right hand dominant dribbling. Work with your left hand dribbling. So she'd be working on her left-hand dribbling or working on getting quicker. Not the fastest girl in the world. We always said, Connor, you got to pick up that defense. She'd like to let them go by and reach around and, you know, working on speed. So she'd be running in, doing line drills or something, working on speed. She was, you know, the gym rat. Ever since 4th grade, 5th grade, we'd be practicing in the gym here nonstop, and that's all she wanted to do, basketball. Even during softball, let's go up and play basketball on weekends. Every weekend we were up in the gym shooting, working on something. You know, the all-around great kid.
Like Devin will come home and he'll be like, oh, my chest is just, you know, I'm so happy. She's just so successful. And even when they lose, you learn so much. I mean, those are the moments in your life that you learn from. You learn the most from the times that you don't succeed.
I'm super, super proud of her. Like, I can't even remember how many times she's, like, wanted to quit or not go forward, and she's pushed through, like, every, like, adversity that's ever come across her, so I'm very proud of her.
We're similar, but we're very different. Chelsea, like, if something doesn't go my way, I'm like, oh, well, this is dumb. Yeah. Like, you know, darn it.
Yeah.
But Chelsea's like, okay, this isn't fair. Like,
Yep, she'll flip.
Yeah.
Chelsea and Connor are similar, but yet they're different, you know. I mean, Chelsea wouldn't have anybody else be part of her day other than her sister. You know, they're thick as thieves. They fight like cats sometimes, but boy, you know, they stick up for each other too. That's family. So at the end of the day, they realize that no matter what else you have in life, you have family. And I'm just really proud of the girls. They've both worked very hard. You know, Chelsea came up through volleyball and played basketball and was very good at basketball. And she played Division II volleyball, and Connor ended up playing Division II basketball. They were both very competitive, and they're just great, wonderful girls.
Yep.
So I started playing JO when I was in, like, 6th grade. And, you know, it's a super small town, so, like, literally when people are in 6th grade, like, they'll ask, like, 3rd graders to come play. You know what I mean? Like, they need more people. So when I was in, like, 4th grade, I started playing with the older girls for basketball. And around the same time, I started playing volleyball. But there was just way more opportunity in our area to play volleyball. So my mom was an official for volleyball, so she knew, like, the rules of the game. So I think that's kind of how I got more into volleyball. And then my classmates, like the girls that I went to school with and that graduated with me, we were all, like, I was probably the only one that actually played basketball and volleyball. They all played volleyball, so it was kind of like a peer pressure thing. Like, I ended up playing all the time because my friends were playing all the time, so I ended up, like, loving volleyball. When we would go to the gym every Sunday for volleyball practice, Ostrom would be there, and he would, like, it would be like her escape out of, like, shagging balls for volleyball for us. Like, she would find him and go to the other gym, and they would just shoot, like, for hours and hours.
I mean, when she was here in 5th grade, you know, she'd be the type that she didn't have a cell phone, but her mom would say, hey, we're going to go up to the gym, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm coming up. And for her to say every Sunday, I'm going to go to the gym, well, they're working on volleyball, I could be sitting at home watching TV, doing whatever. Nope. And if they weren't up here, she would still call and say, hey, they're not having volleyball, but can you come up and open the gym up? And she was that way all the way through, you know. And when you have somebody like that, you know, and I'm looking, well, she's going to come up and help the program. She's the one that wanted to put the time in, so definitely worth the time.
By the time she was in, like, 8th grade and 9th grade, she was starting on varsity with me, and it was, I mean, I would give, like, anything to, like, go back and play those games, but she was just always, like, so shy, you know, like, she could have been, like, a 3,000 point scorer instead of a 2,000, like, point scorer because she was so good, but she was so shy.
One game she had 27 points, and I was super proud of her then. You know, I'm always super proud when they make a lot of points, but a ball game isn't always about points. A ball game is about helping, especially in her role, helping the other team mates, you know, getting the shots and the plays, and, you know, she's just one cog in a wheel with 5, and it's not all about her. So,
And I think she really showed a lot of leadership when she got her teeth knocked out up there at was it Moorhead?
yeah.
Yep. And came back out and played the second half. She was hurting, but she played, you know. So
She's not one that complains about her aches and pains. I mean, she might have some aches, but she'll just go on. Just like when she put the mouth guard in, pushed the
Yeah.
teeth up, and went back out, you know.
We always
She's
tell
a
her
tough little bird.
Yeah, she'll get over it.
Yeah. She's not very big, but she's tough.
Yeah.
She was so natural that I don't think anything really was too difficult for her. You know, I could show her one thing or two things, and after trying it for 3 minutes, she'd have it down. You know, that's the type of person or gym rat that she was at. Or if she wasn't that good at it, she would work at it when she was on her own.
I think Connor maybe is more athletically, it just comes natural. And Chelsea has to really work a little bit harder at it. And Chelsea is very driven. I mean, there were some days when Connor, because it came a little bit easier, there were some days that Connor maybe didn't want to work as hard. And Chelsea is just a workhorse and really made her get up.
Right, and that's what I was going to say. Yep. Connor be wanting to sleep
Yeah.
in. Chelsea grab her by the big toe just about and drag her out of bed and be like, get your rear end out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Quit being so lazy. Why, Mom, why are you letting her sleep in after a game? I never got to do that. Get her up. I mean, yeah, it was awesome.
So I would say Chelsea influenced her with her drive. Chelsea worked out every day, practiced hard every day, and so did Connor, but because it came a little bit more naturally for Connor, you know, she maybe felt like she could slack off just a little bit, but Chelsea always pushed her to be the best she could be.
Yep.
And because Connor's maybe so soft-hearted, sometimes she thought that that was okay, you know, wherever her potential was at. And Chelsea always pushed her to be better, you know. If you don't fail, you don't succeed.
I mean, I've totally been an advocate for her to, like, do her own thing and encourage her to, like, go her separate way and not, you know, I don't want her to feel like she has to, like, live up to me. Like, that wasn't my goal for, like, going to PA school and working at Mayo and, like, doing all those things. Like, they were awesome accomplishments for me, but I never wanted to, like, have to, like, set a bar for her, you know? A lot of people don't know that we're, like, related, you know, when she goes to St. Cloud and plays basketball. I know a lot of people that are still in St. Cloud, but they don't even think, like, they wouldn't think that one of us plays basketball, one of us plays volleyball. They're like, oh, I didn't even know you guys were related. Like, it's just, like, a foreign concept for some people to understand that, like, we play two totally different sports, but I mean, when we're, like, messing around, she'll play volleyball with me, and she's good. Like, she's just naturally, like, athletic. But,
Right.
you know, of course you have to, like, pick one thing and be, like, super good at it at that level.
Both of our daughters are just very athletic.
Yeah.
It's the drive. They played from an early age, and that's all they did. I mean, all Connor has done since she's been in probably 3rd grade is play basketball. Non-stop, just non-stop.
We played in Southland, and it was just, like, a game where I would, like, throw up any ball. Like, I would shoot it. Like, literally, I could have shot it with my eyes closed, and it went in every single time. And she would do the same thing. Like, neither one of us could miss. And so I think combined we had, like, 70-some points. It was, like, insane. And it was, like, the most fun game ever because we both played so fun. But that's just how she played every game. Like, she was so good every single game. It just took her, like, a long time to get her confidence because she was so much younger than everyone she, like, has always played with. But she's always been so good.
And then once in her basketball career against Lanesboro, she sunk it going out of bounds and she laid it up and banked it off the glass, and they won it.
Against Lanesboro, her junior or senior year, same thing. Kind of had an off night, came down to the end of the game, right past half court, toss it up, hit it to win the game. And it's like, yeah, she's the type of player it's hard to stop. You know, you may be able to slow her down every once in a while, but you know, for around here, she's pretty hard to stop.
Her senior year, she played in, like, a all-star game, like a state all-star game. And she went up against, like, all the best players, like, in the state of Minnesota for this all-star game. And I remember her having a 3-point shoot-off contest. And she did it so good. Like, I think in 1 minute, she made like 18 3-pointers or something, which was the most out of anyone. And at that point, I was literally hitting my dad over the back of the head with like my shoe because he was so annoying. He was like yelling so much, like, yeah, go Connor, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. But then literally after like I was done like beating him and I was so like proud, I was just like the most obnoxious person ever. Like I was like, that's my sister.
I would have supported her wherever she wanted to go. And if she didn't want to go, I'd have been super, super disappointed if she wouldn't have taken, the opportunity. But yeah.
Winona worked out. That's a good fit for her. And, yeah.
You don't want to be too close to your parents, but not too far away either.
She'll come home just enough.
Yep.
Get her clothes washed, raid the refrigerator, and go home.
Yeah. You know what? It's not always about winning or losing. It's about how she played. I'm always encouraging. When they lose, I'm encouraging. I mean, it's just such a positive point in her life when she can be a collegiate athlete, have the opportunity to play ball, Division II, with wonderful friends, teammates. So you have to embrace it, and I'm proud of her. Even when she has a bad game, and even when they lose, I'm so proud of her and all her teammates. I love it when they win. But even if they lose, if they play good, if there's a lot of camaraderie on the team, if they play well together, I mean, sometimes you can be a superstar team and you just get beat. I mean, that happens.
For being a Division II athlete, like, it's amazing. Like, not even the fact that her and I both got the opportunity, but it's like, it's one more thing for us to like understand about each other. It's so much harder than anyone understands. Like, no matter how much you explain it to somebody, like, they don't get it. Like, people don't understand that Division II is like the same as like Division I. It's a huge commitment, So
Right.
It makes me really proud to like have that connection with her, and it's something that like I can't even remember how many times she'd call me like crying about something or being pissed about something, and it's like I understood, like I felt that way. I totally like connected with her on that. So that was like, that's a really good feeling that like we have that in common.
We're a family that does a lot of kissing and a lot of I love yous all the time. I just give her a kiss and I tell her I love her, and if she had a bad game, I say, you know what, rethink it, evaluate it, and what can you learn from it? Because that's how you become successful. You become successful based on your failures. You have to learn and you have to build on them. I guess.
Well, I guess, and the other thing is too, when we see her come running out of the locker room, especially at the home games, all the grandparents are there. My dad comes and people come, and it's close, and she likes it because she's always looking around to see who's there. Does the old peace sign.
That's the signature wave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's seriously the most hilarious person ever. Like, anytime she says something so funny, I'm like, I partially take credit because I feel like I made her hilarious.
I hate doing like house chores for my parents, and so they left on vacation. And this is the list she gave me: brown hamburger, empty the dishwasher, and pick and dehead the flowers. And so I like made up a bill for them, and then I said, moral of the story, bring me with next time.
I feel like for me, they were very strict. Like, I never had a curfew, so strict, like, compared to other friends, like, they wouldn't call them strict, but strict between Connor and I, they were way more strict on me. Like, if she like, stayed up too late one night, then, like, they didn't make her go to school the next morning. And for me, it was like, no, you're not staying at your friend's house. You need to come home. Like, you can come home at any time, but you need to come home. So I would say, like, between my sister and I, they were way more strict with me. But between, like, my friends and I, they were totally, like, the cool parents. Like, we didn't have a curfew. We could, like, stay up at our house as long as we wanted. And we had, like, all the fun stuff at our house, like, all the toys and, like our four-wheelers and our snowmobiles and the hot tub and just, like, all the fun stuff to do. So we always, like, my house was always where we had, like, the girls' parties, like girls' nights in high school, and like Christmas parties and all that kind of stuff. So, but I don't know, they were just really strict on like stupid stuff. Like, now that I've gotten older, I kind of understand it, but like, I mean, I guess I would say as far as like, they were really strict on like the cell phones. Like, they would always be really weird about like who we were talking to. Like they'd always be like, "Who are you talking to?" And if we wouldn't tell them, literally my mom would like get our phone records to like who we were talking to. And then they were really strict on what else? Like tattoos and piercings, which is hilarious because my sister and I are like the most tatted people of all of our friends.
Right.
They were really strict on like no facial piercings. When I was a freshman in college, I got my tongue pierced, and my sister was a freshman in college. She got her nose pierced, and literally both times our parents were like, done, like cut us off, like we were like in so much fucking trouble. So, but I don't know, like so those things are strict, and then like again like. With like language, so I totally just swore. I apologize.
No, we were never really rule people. I mean, I never gave them a curfew. Never told them where they could or couldn't go. They just knew that on their own. But if they'd come home with not very good grade, then the axe came down, and then they would know it. But for the most part, I mean, that really never happened.
They kind of were on autopilot. They did their own thing.
They both studied hard, and they knew what we expected, and however they got there was just fine. But they knew, stay out late, get up early, come home early. It's up to you, but you better have the good grades.
They're totally like cool, and growing up, they were way more. I don't know. They really didn't really care about anything. Like we never had curfews. Like but they were like those parents that know everything. You know, like if I had one sip of like anything to drink in the morning, they were like on it. Like they knew everything. It was amazing.
Sports is one thing, but you know, sports don't pay the bills either. You got to have an education too, you know, and you got to learn what's going on. You got to have good grades. You got to have good grades to play ball. And even in grades or high school, you had to have a certain grade average to play, or you had to sit out. So, you know, they had to do that, plus their chores around here too. So I thought they did really good.
She wanted to succeed. She has aspirations to go on beyond her bachelor's, and she knows to get into other schools, she's going to have to study. And it doesn't necessarily come easy. I mean, she studies a lot. So she works for it. You know, she's not one of those natural people that just get A's without even opening up the book. She has to open up the book and study and spend hours in the library, or so she's telling me.
I think if anything she puts her mind to, she can do whatever she wants. You know, she's got that type of drive where if it's something she enjoys, you're not going to be able to keep her down. I would say at high school is definitely just the amount of time that she would put into it outside of basketball season. You know, a lot of the kids think, well, if we do it for the 3 months during basketball and the 1 month during the summer, we're going to be good enough, where Connor was 12 months a year, concentrating on basketball. Let's do this. What do I need to get better at? I need to work on, I can go around my back from my right hand to my left hand. Now how am I going to go from my left to my right? You know, and she'd be in here going as hard as she could, and, oh, I got a defensive person with nobody there, and work on it. So just putting the time in.
I used to go to the gym with her because they had this sheet and they had to go shoot 5 days a week.
Took
so
an
I
hour
would
of our
always,
day.
I
Yep.
would always go to the gym with her, and I would rebound, and I'd keep these stats for 4 years. This is the first year I haven't done it because she lives in Winona, and she'd get frustrated and she'd be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't hit anything," and I'd be right there and I'd be encouraging her, and at the same time, I'd be pushing her. You know, you can do it. Don't be so frustrated. When you get frustrated, you're not going to do anything. So at that time, it's the same way the same advice, I guess, that I give her now. You know, you learn the most through what you can't do, and you learn to do it.
I'd break up the monotony though. I'd dribble the ball around.
Oh my gosh, then Devin would come and he runs around, he dribbles the ball, he shoots from half court.
And then I'd go behind my back to see if she
Yeah.
was paying attention.
She hung out with her best little friend and her cousin Tanner. They were just inseparable. Where one was, the other one was. They were best friends. We owned this roller rink together, so every Friday night they would put their skates on and they'd be skating away. And then there was hockey after open skate, and everybody picked Connor and Tanner first because, you know, they basically lived at the roller rink. They could do anything. But they got in so much mischief together, And they're just best little friends yet. I mean, you know, they're 22 now. They're cousins and just best friends. But there's so many stories. One time, Debbie and I were in the roller rink and we heard this knock, and this gentleman comes and says, "Could you come out here?" We said, "Sure." So we go out there, and he said, "You know those two little kids, you know, they wear the Daniel Boone hats?" And Debbie and I are like, "Yep." Well, they shot the windows out of all these antique cars with their BB guns. And of course my heart sunk. I'm like, "You're kidding me." And he's like, "Yeah." "And the one with the ponytail?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's mine." He's like, "Yeah, I seen her running around shooting, hiding behind the trees." I'm like, "Yep, that's Connor." And so I think maybe growing up together, they both mentored each other through that process, and they both were a lot alike in that respect, that they're just very, very nice.
Yep.
Very nice kids. They've both grown up to be fabulous, wonderful. We're just wonderful adults.
Don't take any second for granted. I mean, I remember so many times being like, okay, I don't even want to warm up, or I do not want to play this game, or I'm too tired, or, you know, all the things about, like, just being so annoyed that basketball and sports, like, consume your weekends and your nights and your life in college. And once you graduate, it's like, you don't even know what it's like to go to the bars with all your friends. But now, looking back, like, I would give anything to compete in front of thousands of fans again. So I would just say, like, not to take it for granted and don't, like, wish your time away.
I am so honored to be her mother. Through the winning, through the losing, through everything that has happened in her life thus far, I am so proud of her. I wouldn't never pick another daughter. I would never pick another sport. I wouldn't change absolutely one thing about her. She's just a wonderful, wonderful young lady, and she's just turned out to be more than I could have ever imagined, with her friendship and her genuineness, her unselfishness, her caring about other people. She'll go far.